Welcome back to the From the Ground Up podcast. This is a podcast for Dow Smith Company employees, clients, and friends. Dow Smith Company is a design builder here in Smyrna, Tennessee, and we focus on commercial, medical facilities and churches. And today we have the man, the myth, the legend, Dow Smith on with us. Dow,
first I gotta say, it sounds a lot better you doing that introduction than me. I like that. That was cool.
Well, I want you on as many times as you can be on. I'm Taylor Loyal. For those who don't know, I'm as Dow is alluding to, the new-ish host of From the Ground Up. But we're gonna have Dow and Joey and other folks from Dow Smith Company on quite a bit on this podcast.
And you yourself are also the man, the myth, and the legend in your own right.
In my own mind, maybe, but
in real world, in real world as well.
But so I was gonna ask you, Dow, just to get us going. 31 years ago, when you started this company, did you dream of having 30 employees, hundreds of projects, big important clients, and even a podcast?
No. and I mean, it's mind-bending when you put it that way. 31 years ago in the red pickup truck with my hair, my butt on fire, and looking at how we've evolved. So the answer is no. And never my wildlife would I thought we'd have 30 employees, and 30 awesome employees, I should add. And so the answer is no. My heart's so full, my mind's bent on just how great things have been and currently are.
What even was the plan back then? As you said, you had a little red pickup truck and a few projects, and you were just what was the plan?
There was no plan. I mean, I'm 26 years old. You don't know what you don't know. In our flipback, I was unemployable. I mean, there's no way anybody would hire me. So I had zero idea of what to do or how to do it. I knew I had to eat. I knew I had to pay bills. And I was too dumb to know better. Literally, I was not smart enough to know better. So I don't recommend the path of track that I took. I don't recommend that to anybody. There's many flaws that I just don't recommend. And just lack of wisdom, lack of life, lack of mentors, lack of coaches. I'm a living example of prevenient grace. I got a lot more given to me than I deserved, and there's a lot of protection from the divine, more than I realize. Luck is a key part of this as well. So I don't recommend that path. We did it, we survived, and we're doing great now, but it's not all. There's other stories or scars from that's part of the journey as well.
Yeah. Well, as the company has grown and as you've grown, I think Dow Smith Company structurally and culturally has changed quite a bit over those 31 years, including what we're going to talk about today, which was the establishing of core values. Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll just start with passion, caring, hustle, detail. Those are the 4 core values at Dow Smith Company. We have Michael Shirley on recently from Family Pet Health, and they have their own core values, which was really interesting to hear from him. But ours are passion, caring, hustle, detail. How are those 4 core values established?
Well, it was a beautiful moment or moments in the process. It came when we were putting together our vision through EOS. And our Robert, our implementer, our outside implementer, and what we did, we being Trey, Shauna, Joey, he said, okay, I want y'all to think of in your mind who your 2 or 3 employees that you have that if you could clone those, you would dominate the market. All your problems would probably go away. Your life would be so much easier if you could list those 2 or 3 employees that you wanted to clone. So we did that. We went, took a few moments, listed in our mind, and at that point didn't share. But then he said, okay, now I do want you to share what are those things about those people that they have in common. With that, also we came up with the names. Like one we all came up with was Bardo. If we could clone Bardo's, it's like we would have no problems at all. And
tell a little bit about Bardo for people who don't know. But I think the maybe possibly the best construction tech in all of Tennessee.
I would say
maybe in the world.
I would say the world, because Bardo is the true master craftsman of everything. I mean, an incredible carpenter, an incredible drywall finisher, an incredible framing, great electrical, plumbing. If there's anything that happens on the construction site, he can do it, and he can do it really well. And you just point out, Bardo, this is what we need done, and he gets it done. Gary Grisham mentioned, and Mitchell and I were talking the other day, and Bardo came up, and Gary could take Bardo over. And he even mentioned Franklin Synergy Bank. We're at the punch list stage. Bardo, I just need this finished. That's all he had to say. Bardo, I just need this finished for a walkthrough. So Bardo could make the punch list and then do the punch list to get it ready for us to turn over. And Bardo could do all those small little things, and it just took the load off of Gary. And Bardo's able to do that today for Trey and any superintendent that he's working on. And Bardo just talks. He's silent, but he's a person in action. And so Bardo was one that we came up with. Said, man, if we could clone Bardo, we'd crush it. A few others, Joel Tellez was on the list.
Oh yeah.
And so we just looked at those. What are those things that they have all in common? And then from that, which were phrases, then from that, we discovered, and that was the key thing of this process. It's not like we came up with it was a discovery, what's already there. It's not like, what do we want to be? It's all like that. What are our current core values to us? And those would be things they're just non-negotiable. If these are not going right, there's going to be a fight, or there's going to be something. It's not like we're going to change our mind or opinion on these values. And so we settled, and we realized, for us is passion, caring, hustle, and detail. And we found that was the common traits of those select employees that were.
So everybody that y'all looked at all had those.
That's correct. And that was one of the things you kind of got to look at once we put it on that. Okay, does this person have that? Absolutely. Does this have this? Absolutely. And then we'd even look at people who didn't work out for us. Did they have any of those values? And we learned they were probably missing at least 2 of those or 3 of those. We looked at that and realized, people didn't work at it. They maybe had 1 of those, but and so, we just did a back check, looked at history where it didn't look at it. Even in terms of clients, we found clients that can at least appreciate those values are good fits for us.
Right. And then as the company has grown, you've done a lot more hiring even since. So I'm assuming that's something that you all look for when you're hiring. It's like, do they have these?
It's one of the first things we look at. To be honest, what I look at when I see someone who has those values, I think they would be a good fit at DSC. So
they can learn the job, but they have to have the values.
We can't teach the values. It's like either you have it or you don't. And that's the thing about values, that we all have them. They can't be taught. They've been learned by our own life experiences, our own values, our own priorities. And so they can't be taught. They just are who we are.
Well, let's go through these one by one. I won't do this for everyone, but there was a quote that I read today about passion. and the quote is, without passion, a person is as good as dead, for it's passion that keeps us going in the most trying times. Now that's Albert Einstein. He doesn't know that much, but he's a pretty smart guy. How's that quote strike you?
It fits me very well. It fits. And also when I think of passion, the word compassion comes into play as well too. And I think that they fit very well. In fact, passion is part of compassion. And I've experienced that passion comes from a healthy response of being angry. And people think of anger as a bad or negative term, and it can be if uncontrolled anger gets to that. But to me, passion comes out when something's not right. This is messed up, and it's got to be fixed.
And we're not going to let it slide.
And we're not going to let it slide. And so I see a lot of passion. You see a lot on injustices. Something's just not right, and it's got to get fixed. So an injustice makes us all passionate.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so that's part of, to me, the passion story.
That's interesting. Now, whether we're talking about those initial employees that y'all are looking at, or folks now, or both, are there things around passion that have happened, examples that you could cite where, I mean, I always think about, there's certain people who work here who, not that we want to encourage working 60, 70, 80-hour weeks, but they're just not going to let go of something until it's done right. And it is because of the passion that they have for what the work that we do. Well,
when you say that, it kind of makes me going back. Something's not right, and it's got to get fixed. And so, kind of where I've seen that, and not everybody wants to agree with this, but I'm going to say it like that. I've always said nothing gets fixed until someone gets pissed off about this and stays pissed off about it until it's resolved. And I'm sure not an advocate of working 60, 70 hours a day, anything, but it's almost like you got to have that burn and that sustained passion till it finally gets resolved.
Yeah.
And, you know, what we see here is whether the project's not on track. Okay, what do I got to do? And what do we have to do to get the project back on track? Or this issue isn't going well. What do we have to do to make it right? That's where we excel in our passion. If passion is operating at a healthy way.
Well, let's talk about caring a little bit. And I was telling you, caring is a fascinating one for me, because when I think about caring, I think about how much we care about the projects that we do. Like you talking about with Bardo, with the, creating the punch list and then go and do the punch list, and you get into detail a little bit there with that. But then also the care that we have for our clients. And you look at, I just think we go to the moon and back for clients. But then also the caring that the company has for its employees. And I think that the leadership at Dow Smith Company has for the employees. So maybe talk about those. We could do those one by one, but what do you think about when you think about caring?
What I think about caring, and I use the term that's probably used way too much and all like that, it's love. It's just, how can I love my neighbor, love my coworker, and it's expression of love. And it's also an expression of protection. To me, when you protect somebody, a great way for how I like to show I care is I like to protect them. And as well as if somebody is hurting, how can I show that I care for them? So with that, then how can I help them deal with this hurt that they're going through, or journey with them through that hurt that they're going through? To me, those are parts of caring. It's going through the journey with them.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to protect not you specifically, but I think you have to protect people from themselves too. Like when it comes to employees, I've heard you say a lot, like, I don't know if you have the capacity to do, you've told me, to do all those things. You might have to pick 2 or 3.
Well, which then makes you think of the 2-word self-care. And self-care often can be confused with being selfish, 2 completely different deals. And you also mentioned capacity. We have to know, what am I capable of doing and what am I capable of not doing? Whether it be, do I have the adequate rest? Do I have the adequate health to properly serve? So care is a whole lot of self-care and knowing our capacity, overextending ourselves. And I've learned firsthand, running around with my hair and my butt on fire doesn't provide sustained results. It doesn't. And somehow or another, if I can learn, keep my poise in that, then I can provide care. So caring and self-care, it's a glove in a hand.
All right. Let's jump to hustle. Now, hustle is an interesting one too, because I think when a lot of people think about hustle, they think about a sprint, which is not what you just said. We're not talking about here, because you don't want people to burn out. You think about people kind of hustle, almost could be that running around with your hair and your butt on fire. That's not the type of hustle we're talking about. I've heard you say, to quote Dow Smith, who's even smarter than Albert Einstein, I've heard you say, you got to slow down to go smooth to go fast. And I think that's at the heart of the hustle, the way we talk about it. Right?
And I'm trying to think where I heard that from. I stole that from somebody, and I wish I could think of who gave me credit, who I should give credit for that. But yeah, that's a great example. Slow down to go smooth so you can go fast. And I kind of learned that through the golf swing. Really, that's how I picked that, or that's really how where I've applied it in my golf swing. If I try to just crush the ball, hit it as hard as I can, there's no form, and it's just wailing at it. And so, yeah, I can make contact, and yeah, it may go far, but it doesn't go straight, and it goes in a very unpredictable direction. But if I can slow down, and I find it, and it's a swimming instructor. That's where it came from. A swimming coach would tell their swimmers, slow down so you can go smooth. And when you swim, if you go smooth, you'll swim faster. That's where it came from. So there's a swimming coach that used that on their swimming students. And it applied to the golf swing. And I found it applied for me in my workflow. I could get a whole lot more done if I just simply slow down.
You can stay in that flow state longer.
I can stay in that flow state longer, have clear, okay, here's what I want to do. Here's what I hope to get done in this short period of time. Rather than try to knock out 8 to-dos today, I've learned let's just focus on 3. You know, if I can get 2 of those 3 done, probably more than good enough.
Yeah, I used to have a list. This was 10 years ago, but I would have a list on my desk of like 50 things that I had to do, and I would only get 5 of them done, and I'd feel so defeated at the end of the day. You'd be
demoralized, wouldn't you? Yeah.
So then I just started saying, what are the 5 on here that I have to get done? And then if I could get those, if I was still getting the same amount of work done, but at the end of the day, I felt more energized and more excited to come in the next day and get the rest.
And what I've done, I'll now take my top 3. And I will just look at what are these 3 rather than look at my long to-do list of 20. Today, I've just looked at my 3. I'm only going to get 2 of the 3 done. The one I want to get done is not going to get done. But the 2 that I did get done, I'm going to celebrate those. And so that is very much a key part of hustle. It's a key part. It does help productivity, and we're all, maybe not all, but we think being productive is fulfilling. We all like to get a lot of stuff done. And when we don't aren't as productive as like to be, our ego or self-esteem tends to take a beating and get bruised, and that's not a good place to be.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about detail. You and I have talked a lot about, I think we have people in every position within Dow Smith Company who are just meticulous about what they do. I guess I'll just ask you the same question. What do you think about when you think about that detail?
Detail
value?
is one that I highly value and I highly appreciate. I myself am probably more of a follower of detail than a leader providing detail, because that's where I fall short many times. But that's why I've surrounded myself with people who are good at detail. So I very much appreciate detail, and I get agitated when details get missed, whether I miss them, and I've noticed I miss a lot of details, but when others miss details as well too. And that's just abroad as well. I've noticed, especially with Joey, this detail got missed. This detail got missed, and that will bring some passion from us when a detail didn't get dealt with, and it creates unnecessary suffering. We get a little bit loud about that.
Well, and I think even on the, you mentioned the journey that we go on with our clients. One of the things that impressed me from the day I started here was, and a lot of people, unless you're a client, you probably don't know this, but every single Thursday, we send every single client an email with all the details of everything that we've done that week, everything we're going to do the next week, and anything that we need them to make a decision on or that needs to get resolved. And I can tell you, I mean, I just don't think a lot of companies provide their clients with that much detail.
It's very much, well, that part right there is one of our uniques of transparent communication. And we learned, let's just put it all out there and be transparent on how we understand current reality. This really was modeled by Joey. Joey is the ultimate transparent communicator. He's the bedrock of that, of that uniqueness, and that spread throughout. And so we're very transparent in our communication. That's part of our uniques. And so though it's not a value, so to say, it very much connects to what we do value.
Right. Well, and even now to the point where we're doing post-mortem discussions after every project, and even asking clients, was there anything we could have done better? Because we want to always learn from every project and continue to improve. So I wanted to ask you before we wrap up, one of the things that you've done and some of us have done within the company is to create your own personal core values. So tell me a little bit about those.
Which, yes, I've done personally. Holly, our life coach, kind of led me through that. There's a lot of methods that you can discover your own personal values. There are many out there. And you could Google it, and if you're looking for that, Google value cards. And what it is, it's just cards you put out. And then from that, you can determine what is your value. And so Holly did that on me. And so what I determined or from that work, my personal values are health, courage, wisdom, and generosity. And so
Can I have $1?
No. Yes, you may. Yeah, absolutely. How about a 5? I don't have.
That's funny. That's the only one I heard out of the 4. So repeat those again.
Health.
Yes.
Courage, wisdom, generosity. And so I look at those every day in my quiet time, because I found when I not at a good place, what's causing that. And there are things happening or people coming at me that it's just not fitting that. There's something that I'm doing, okay, and it's not fitting those values. An activity that I'm doing, people that I'm involved with, okay, they're not checking.
So you can really, like, if you feel out of whack, it's because one of those is off.
That is correct. Yes. Yes.
Which one is it usually?
They're all about equal. That's a good question. I would say they're equal on that. Of
It could just be any of them.
That's correct.
Now, is there something to the 4 core values? Is 4 just a good number for you, or?
Well, and that's what many others say. The fewer the better. It needs to be between 3 to 7. Less is better. I picked 4 just because I couldn't decide which of those that I want to leave off. They kind of recommend 3, but I said, man, there's no way I could knock any of those off. So what I've done and been taught, highly recommend, identify what your top 3 to 5 are.
Gotcha.
10's too big of a list, and 3 to 5 is a very manageable, focused list.
Cool. Well, this has been awesome. I'm so glad that the podcast is back. I'm so glad that you're here today and we're having this discussion. And for listeners, I would just encourage you, keep listening. We're going to try to keep doing more good podcasts with Dow Smith clients and employees and friends. And if you want more information on us, check us out on dowsmith.com, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We've got like 19 followers on Twitter/X. So if you want to follow us there, we'd be really appreciated.
We need another Twitter follower.
Yeah, we need one more X
We
follower would be great.
Yeah.
But no, we do most of our best work probably on Facebook and Instagram. But yeah, check us out, give us a follow. And again, Dow, appreciate you being on today.
Taylor, thank you so much for being Taylor. Thank you.